Imagine falling in love with the most beautiful girl in school. You like her so much that you're willing to break the rules and sneak into her school late at the evening just to give her a gift, only to find out that you're trapped with a murderous janitor and experience paranormal event at the same time. That is the premise of Whiteday, a Labyrinth Named School. Developed by a South Korean studio named Sonnori and published by Wizardsoft for Windows PC in 2001, Whiteday, a Labyrinth Named School is a first-person survival horror game that follows an unnamed student who decides to sneak into his school in the dead of night just to deliver a Whiteday chocolate to the person he likes. But as soon as he enters the school, he finds himself trapped with murderous janitors and supernatural events happening around him. The game was largely unknown when it first came out, mainly because it was never translated into English. There was a plan to release an English version in the UK in 2004, and a company called 4AM Entertainment was set to handle the release, but it was cancelled for unknown reason. The only proof we have of an official English version is a poster for the game. However, that didn't stop people from creating fan translation, and thanks to that effort, Whiteday gained a cult following outside of its home country. In 2015, after Lee Won-sul re-established Sonnori under the name ROI Games, the remake of Whiteday was released for Android and iOS. A year later, the PC and console version came out with significant improvement over the mobile version, including new characters, new endings, and higher quality visuals. But despite the remake is the better version to experience Whiteday on modern hardware, nothing could ever surpass the original Whiteday. When it first came out, Whiteday was notoriously difficult and terrifying, so much so that player emailed the developer requesting an easier option. This led the game being patched several times to make it more accessible for both new and existing players. Before we begin, it's worth noting that the original game allowed players to enter a desired name for the protagonist. This feature was removed in the remake, but in the original, you can customize the protagonist's name. To keep things simple, I'll use the default name and refer to him as Heemin, since saying Lee Heemin every time can be a bit of a mouthful. The game begins with our main character Heemin entering the school late at night. He's there for two reasons: to give his crush Han Soyoung Whiteday candy and to return her diary. As soon as he enters, he heard the janitor grunt while locking the door, trapping Heemin inside the school. He doesn't realize it yet, but Heemin just made the worst mistake of his life by coming here. One that could cost him his life if he's not careful. For now, he explores the area and soon come across two female students. The glasses girl is Jiyeon, while this sassy egotistical bitch, while the other girl is called Kim Seong-ah. The two girls are surprised to see Heemin inside the school. Jiyeon then excuses herself, saying that she has something else to do. Seong-ah approached Heemin to introduce herself and were then prompted with a choice. Now, let me talk briefly about choices in this game. At certain point in your playthrough, you'll encounter cutscenes with options. The choices you make affects the ending. We'll discuss the ending later since there's a lot to cover. For now, we choose to annoy her and ask about Soyoung. Upon hearing that Heemin is looking for Soyoung, Seong-ah gets angry, assuming Heemin is also interested in her like the other boys in her class. She's about to reveal something about Soyoung, but the fire alarm suddenly goes off, blaring through the entire floor. Seong-ah panics and runs away, cowering behind the vending machine. Heemin quickly looks around to figure out how he can get into the security room since the door is locked. He spots a vent he can crawl into to reach the room. Without wasting any time, he picks up the pliers and the ladder from the table and hurries through the girl's bathroom, as that is the only place where he can access the vent. As he crawls through the vent, he sees the janitor beating someone with a baseball bat. Judging by how the person stopped moving after the third blow, it's safe to say that they already met God. Heemin couldn't believe what he saw. He quickens his pace and reached the security room. After solving the power box puzzle and disabling the fire alarm, the metal amulet falls out of the safe. These amulets are crucial as they're used to unlock doors, allowing you to advance to the next building. You might have noticed as well if you look closely that there's some kind of a symbol on it. These symbols represent 5 elements and properties of everything in the universe. The elements consist of fire, earth, metal, wood, and water. Anyways, as soon as Heemin steps out of the security room, Seong-ah is waiting for him outside. She notices Heemin is shaken up and asks him what's wrong. Heemin tells her it's nothing and resumes their earlier conversation, asking her more about Soyoung. This is what she had to say.
소영이? 너 단단히 빠졌구나? 걔 얼굴만 보고 좋아했다간 큰일 난다. 무슨 소린진 나중에 차차 알게 될 거야. 질투하는 건 아니지만 소영이 조금 이상한 애야. 학교에서 친구도 별로 없고 이쁜 것 좀 티를 낸다니까? 너도 좀 상태가 심각한 것 같은데? 그만 정신 차려.
If you haven't noticed it yet, Seong-ah seemed to hate Soyoung for some reason despite being friends with her. I wonder why. Anyway, Seong-ah gives Hee-min a key to unlock the double door that led to the second floor. She seems nice, right? Yeah, right, until this happened. Surprise, surprise, the janitor is now out to get us. I can't believe Seong-ah set us up. Luckily, just as Hee-min is about to be caught, someone pulls him into a room. It turns out Ji-yeon is also hiding from the janitor. After making sure the janitor is no longer chasing them, Ji-yeon finally talks to Hee-min. She asks him what he's doing at the school late at night. Hee-min hesitates to answer at first, but decides she's trustworthy and tells her that he's here to see Soyoung. Ji-yeon tells Lee that Soyoung is a weird girl and that even her as a best friend, she still doesn't understand her. She then told Hee-min that Soyoung is somewhere inside the school and excused herself to find her. After she leaves, Hee-min checks the room and finds a box of matches and a classroom master key hidden on the top of the main office door. Why did they put it up there? The game never explained why, but since Hee-min never questioned it, I guess we don't have to as well. As he's about to leave the room, Hee-min heard a scratching sound that is slowly getting louder. When he turns around, he saw... This is the floating head ghost, and it's one of the reasons player couldn't finish the game back when it first came out. You don't know where it will appear except for a distinct scratching sound that gets closer by the minute. Anyway, using the amulet he got earlier from the safe to open the locked door, Hee-min found the stairs that led him to the second floor where he heard someone crying. Curiosity got the best of him and he decided to check it out. As he enters the hallway, the sound of crying grew louder. When he reached the end of the hallway and looked to the right, he sees a ghostly figure hanging from the ceiling. As if sensing Hee-min's presence, the ghost dropped down and slowly crawled towards him. But just as it's closing in, it suddenly disappeared. Hee-min gathers his courage and slowly approaches the window to see if anything's there, but he finds nothing. I guess the ghost must have only wanted... This ghost is Han Na-young, and unlike every other ghost in this place, she's here to help. But why? Well, that's something we'll figure out as we progress. For now, Hee-min resumes his exploration, opening doors and finding key item until he eventually meets Soyoung. She asks Hee-min what he's doing in this school at this late hour since he has no reason to be here. Hee-min answers that he's here to give her Whiteday candy. Now you'd expect the girl to be flustered and shy because Hee-min went out of his way to give her candy that signifies his feelings for her. But instead, Soyoung looked surprised and sounded a bit annoyed when she asked him if that's the reason why he came to this school at this hour. Suddenly, the ground shakes violently and something grabs Soyoung into the classroom where she's pinned to the giant tree. A demented laughter of a woman can be heard as if it's mocking him for letting the girl be taken away easily. Hee-min wasted no time and gets ready to save her. Alright, let me interject here. This is your second boss. I know, you didn't expect this to be the second boss, right? Well, neither do I until I searched the wiki. This is probably the most annoying boss ever, and it's not because it's hard. It's the process of finding out what you need to do that's making this part annoying. Let me explain. During the cutscene where Hee-min meets Soyoung, for a split second it shows a flower pot shaking wildly like there's an earthquake. This didn't make sense to me at first, but it was only after I saved Soyoung and did more exploring that I discovered a note about a ghost story where a girl named Hee-jin who loved plants so much that she died protecting it after giving it blood instead of water. How does that connect to this sequence? Well, in that note, there's a clue given to us. It said that the plant died after a kid accidentally dropped a chemical solvent, which means to defeat this tree monster, you need to find a chemical solvent. Simple, right? Problem is, if you don't find that note, you're left to wonder what the heck are you supposed to do, and wander around aimlessly all the while you have to listen to this annoying laughter that kept repeating itself over and over again. Like, listen to this. Tell me that is not annoying. Imagine not knowing what to do, so you had to listen to this laughing sound until it drives you nuts, but it gets even more fun. You see, I figured out that there's a room where there's a safe. I'm certain that's where the chemical is located, but to get that, you need to solve a ridiculous puzzle where you have to count the amount of balls in the classroom. Then you get a code to unlock a safe which contains the chemical solvent. Now if by chance you died after doing this puzzle, well, good luck, because this maze is randomized. So the next time you try to do this again, the puzzle is different. I swear to God, I hate randomized puzzle. After removing the ghost tree with the chemical solvent, Hee-min returns to where So-young was captured, but she's nowhere to be found. Instead, he spots the wood amulet on the floor. Hee-min picks it up as this amulet is the key to the next area. Maybe So-young has already gone there? Hee-min wasted no time and goes after her. As he nears the exit, he hears a sound coming from the main office, the place where he and Ji-yeon were hiding earlier. He entered to check it out but finds nothing. I guess it must have been his imagination. As he opens the door to leave, Seong-ah is there all of a sudden, looking terrified for some reason. She immediately suspects that Hee-min knows something, which is odd because Hee-min just transferred to their school and isn't familiar with everything yet. Seong-ah doesn't care about that and tells him that all these weird incidents started after he arrived. She demands to know, again, what he's doing at the school in this late hour, and Hee-min finally gives in and tells her that he's here only to give Whiteday candy to So-young. He thinks this will satisfy her, but instead this bitch kept going like some crazy ex who's convinced that they're right in every argument. She tells him that So-young is just using him for reasons she cannot explain. Honestly, at this point, it just seems like blind jealousy, which our guy Hee-min points out, making her even angrier. After that, Hee-min asks Seong-ah what's so weird about So-young. This is where Seong-ah suddenly dropped a piece of lore about her. Apparently, So-young started acting strange back in middle school after losing a family member. But just as Hee-min is about to hear more about it, Seong-ah heard someone crying and it scared her so much that she runs out. Hee-min considered chasing after her, but after experiencing how terrible Seong-ah treated him, the ghostly crying kinda sounded more appealing than her. He goes on to investigate the sound, and for a split second, he sees the hanging ghost from before, but it vanished the moment So-young enters the room. Turns out So-young hasn't left for the other building yet because, like Hee-min, she is also stuck here. She asks him if he knows a way out, and Hee-min says no, but mentioned he found amulets that might be their ticket out of this place. So-young looked at him and then, for some reason, blames him for what happened to them, just like Seong-ah did. Honestly, I feel like Hee-min having feelings for her was a mistake. Even so, she doesn't entirely blame him and suggests they work together to find a way out. She tells Hee-min to head to the other building as there might be clues for their escape there. Arriving at the second building, the first thing that Hee-min noticed is a strange rumbling that shakes the building itself. Something isn't right. Hee-min explores further and finds himself inside the teacher's office. As soon as he enters, the phone suddenly rings. When he picked up the call, he heard a woman choking and gasping for air. After listening to that disturbing phone call, Hee-min continues his exploration. Eventually, he managed to obtain a passcode that opens the principal's office. Here, after looking around, Hee-min discovers a VHS tape with its label ripped off. But what's even more surprising is that when he opens the principal's desk drawer, a secret compartment slides open on the wall. It turns out the principal has hidden CCTV cameras and is monitoring the student through them. Hee-min checks the first monitor and notices the janitor placing something on top of the bookshelf in the faculty room. After making sure it's safe to go out, Hee-min went to see what the janitor hid and finds a key to the second faculty room. At that moment, So-young appears and asks if he found a way out. Hee-min tells her no, but he assures her that he's working on it. So-young theorized that someone is locking them in on purpose and believed the only way out is through the auditorium. However, she's not leaving yet, not until she finds Ji-yeon. The two then work together to search for her. Along the way, we learn that So-young is obsessed with the occult. She tells Hee-min that she believes in ghosts, and as if the timing couldn't be more perfect, when they reached the second floor, both of them felt a strange presence. This made So-young a bit cautious, and to ease that cautiousness, she talks about the history of the school, how the place has seen many deaths because it was built on a bad location, and to seal them off, they had to use powerful amulet. Eventually, they arrive in the second faculty room. Using the key Hee-min obtained earlier, they entered and find Ji-hyun huddled in a corner. So-young is glad to see her and asks why she came to the school. This surprises Ji-hyun because as far as she knows, So-young was the one who called her here. But So-young denies it, saying she never called her. Both girls looked at each other as they realized something is very wrong. So-young brushed off the feeling for now and tells Hee-min he should hurry to the new building as she's planning on to head there to see if there's a way out. Before leaving, she reminds him to check the music room since there might be clues there. As Hee-min leaves the faculty room, the hanging ghost from earlier suddenly appears and points to a specific room, suggesting she wants Hee-min to check it out. Hee-min hesitated but decided to give it a go and investigate the place. Nothing seemed out of ordinary except for a box containing a diary belonging to someone and a clay doll shaped like a woman. Since there's nothing left here, Hee-min makes his way to the music supply room where he finds a CD with the art room key attached to it. Without wasting any time, Hee-min immediately heads to the art room to see what's there, and what he sees shock him to the core. In the art supply room, a giant baby appeared and demanded something from him. Hee-min doesn't know what it wants at first, but then he remembers the clay doll he picked up earlier. The problem is, the clay doll is incomplete. Hee-min looks around and spots a student note on the blackboard about completing a clay sculpture. Without wasting time, he gets to work. It takes him a while, but he finally finished the clay doll and handed it to the giant baby. After receiving the completed doll, the giant baby disappears, leaving behind the earth amulet. Hee-min finally arrives at the new building, and the first thing he sees is So-young's worried face because she lost sight of Ji-hyun again. Honestly girl, at this point, just hold hand for Christ's sake. Well, it doesn't matter. Let's work together like we always.
너만 들어오지 않았어도, 너만 들어오지 않았어도, 너만 들어오지 않았어도, 너만 들어오지 않았어도, 너만 들어오지 않았어도.
Honestly, what is her problem? First she asks us for help, then she blames us, then she tried to be nice by saying we should work together, and now she's telling me that everything is my fault. What is this, a toxic relationship? We're not even dating! Love is blind, they say. So-young explains that they're currently in the new building and shows him the colored doors. She then tells him that each door is locked and can only be unlocked with a key card matching its color. Before continuing, they take a moment to rest in the nearby room. During this break, Hee-min finally returns her diary, and we see So-young slowly warming up to him. After that short break, they resume their exploration and ends up on the ground floor where they find a yellow key card. As soon as Hee-min picks up the key card, the glass panel in this room suddenly shattered for no apparent reason. But then, just when things couldn't get any weirder, Hee-min suddenly says that So-young smells good. Why? Dude? Are you good? Still, So-young doesn't seem to mind. In fact, she's blushing for some reason. Anyway, she took the keycard and opens the door on the first floor. The door leads them to a large hall. So-young then points out that something is attached to the light and we can see that it's a key. She then returns the keycard to Hee-min and tells him to check the other room with the keycard while she tries to look for ways to the auditorium. After she left, Hee-min checks the note in front of him where it reveals that the key is actually a key to the rooftop, and it was left on the lighting system because the students were playing pranks on the teacher. The note also mentioned that the key will be taken down on Monday. Hee-min knew there's no way he could wait until Monday, so one way or another, he had to find ways to get the key. Okay, I want to interject here for a bit. Welcome to the biggest area of the game, or as I would like to call it, my personal hell. No kidding, this is the biggest area in the game, and since I'm doing it without a guide, I spent an hour here. Or maybe more because there's a new janitor. Oh, you didn't know? Yeah, there's two of them. This one is much faster and detects even the slightest bit of noise. So, most of my time I spent hiding around from this asshole who can only grunt whenever he discovers you and whistle his goddamn. Also, the girl from Ringo is here. Very fun. The goal here is pretty simple, to get the key hanging from the ceiling. Sounds simple, right? Well, no. There's much more we need to do here. Using the keycard he obtained, Hee-min opens all the locked door on the first floor. One of the rooms contained a cassette tape player. Hee-min remembers that back in the faculty room in the second building, he picked up a cassette tape. He tries playing the tape, but for some reason it doesn't work. Turns out the cassette player is broken and needed a new drive belt. But how will he find a replacement? As he ponders an answer, Hee-min spots a note mentioning two pieces of broken music equipment. One is in the language room, while the other one is in the music appreciation room where the cassette player is broken. Suddenly, Hee-min got an idea. What if he takes the drive bell and use it on the cassette player in the language room? With that, he set his sight on the music appreciation room. But before he could head there, there's something he must do. Remember the girl on the ceiling? That's the spider ghost, and it will kill him if he enters without a specific item. So for now, he needs to get one important item, an item that will protect him from that ghost. While searching the room on the ground floor, Heemin enters the dance room, where he finds a red keycard on the floor. The weird thing is, the mirror reflects the keycard, yet it's not in the room where Heemin currently is. Something's off here. Nearby, there's a CD player, a perfect opportunity to use the CD he obtained at the music supply room. As soon as he inserts the CD, Heemin hears a knocking sound. When he looks at the mirror, he's shocked to see his reflection moving on its own, blood dripping from his eyes. This is the doppelganger, and he will do whatever it takes to hurt Heemin. The only way to kill it is to break the mirror. Heemin quickly tries to reach the speaker, but every time he does, the doppelganger uses its telekinetic power to pull him back and hurt him in the process. Eventually though, Heemin managed to position one of the speakers close to the mirror. The sound from it is enough to crack the glass. Heemin tries to move the other speaker, and again the doppelganger attempts to stop him, making spikes appear on the ground to injure him. Despite its effort, Heemin succeeds in placing both speakers, damaging the mirror even further. In desperation, the doppelganger charged through the cracked mirror, intending to attack Heemin, but this destroyed the mirror in the process. Since it's just a reflection, the mirror shattering kills it instantly. With the mirror now gone, Heemin can safely go to the other side to get the red keycard and access the library for the Taeguk-plate, a mirror that reflects light to ward off spirits. This is the item that will help him against the spider ghost. After obtaining the Taeguk-plate, Heemin discovers that Ji-yeon is inside the library. How she got there is a mystery considering the room is locked. Ji-yeon explained that she's with Soyoung when Seong-ah appeared out of nowhere. She tried talking to Soyoung, but for some reason, Soyoung ignored her, which made her angry. Heemin, confused by this, asks if they're on bad terms. Ji-yeon says no, pointing out that she knows they're good friends. She often sees them together in class, and Soyoung always listens to whatever Seong-ah tells her. Heemin hears enough and tells Ji-yeon that they should escape through the auditorium, but she rejects the idea and blames him for causing all of this. Since he can't do anything, Heemin leaves and makes his way to the music appreciation room where he confronts the spider ghost. Alright, let me say something about this boss fight, if you can call this a boss. This is probably one of the most boring fight ever. There's no cutscene to introduce the spider ghost. You just turn on the light and look up to see the ghost is on the ceiling waiting for you. Also, if you stand at a specific location, you can attack it without triggering it, pretty much giving you an easy win. Kinda pointless since after defeating the ghost, you'll still see her on other classes, which kinda makes you wonder why do you even try to fight it in the first place. After finally defeating the spider ghost, Heemin obtains the drive bell and immediately heads back to the language room to replace the damaged one. Finally, he can play the tape. There's two options, playing it normally or playing it in reverse. When he played the tape normally, we hear the familiar sound of a woman choking and gasping for air. However, when he plays it in reverse, something unexpected happens.
너 이 학교 학생 아니지? 아직 영향을 받지 않은 걸 보니 우리 학생 같지 않아. 그 테이프, 그녀의 것이었지 맞지? 나는 그 테이프의 주인과 인연이 있어. 내가 학교의 비밀을 알아낸 순간 그녀가 나를 찾아왔어. 내게 도움을 간청하면서. 이 모든 걸 알지 않았더라면 좋았을 텐데 그녀의 간절한 소원을 이루어주지 못했으니까.
There's a lot to unpack here, and I would like to explain it once we get to the right moment, but for now, all you need to know is that the ghost that approached Heemin was once a teacher named Kim Ji-won. He was a music teacher, but he is also well versed in the occult. He was obsessed with resurrecting the dead, and he found a way to do it by reversing the circulation energy surrounding the school. All of this was just a theory at first, but in his pursuit of proving that theory, he made a grave mistake, and feeling guilty about it, he committed suicide in the music room. After a meaningful conversation with the ghost, it dropped the blue keycard. Heemin picks it up, and as he was exiting the classroom, he met Soyoung once again, who looked troubled because she couldn't find a way out. She then compared this situation to how her sister felt. It is here that we learn about Soyoung's troubled past. Soyoung reveals that she had a sister who committed suicide 3 years ago in this school. Who's her sister, you wonder? Remember that hanging ghost Heemin saw earlier in the game? That's her sister. She's also the one who's been helping us by pointing out important places. Soyoung wants to bring her peace, but she can't do it yet because she needs to know what exactly happened to her 3 years ago. All she knows is that her sister had a friend, but no matter how hard she looked, she couldn't find that person, and now she doesn't know what to do. As she's lamenting her problem, she noticed Heemin holding a blue key card, and immediately she gets excited. Perhaps this key might be her way out, she wonders. Filled with newfound hope, she suggests they open the remaining blue door, and right as they exit, the janitor spots them and start attacking. Left with no choice, both of them run towards... Wait, how did she enter that place without a talisman? Oh crap. The janitor turns his attention towards Heemin and chases after him. Heemin runs away as fast as he can until the janitor loses sight of him. Once the coast is clear, he resumes his exploration. He needs to find a pair of dowsing rod which will be useful later on. To get them, he must solve a puzzle that's pretty simple yet very tedious, since not only does the translation makes it hard to understand, but if we die and restart, the puzzle changes as well. So the puzzle is about time zones. It requires us to set the correct times in 4 different rooms. Using GMT as the base for the other time zones, Heemin needs to adjust each clock accordingly. Once he does this, the locker in the occult room opens, allowing him to take the dowsing rod. With the dowsing rod in hand, Heemin's next move is to head to the rooftop to retrieve the water amulet. But there's a problem. The key is still stuck in the lighting system. As he wonders how to get it, Heemin finds a note about faulty wiring for the lights in the central hall. The note states that if certain classrooms' lights are left on, it could short-circuit the wiring, causing it to blow out. This gave Heemin an idea for retrieving the key. After painstakingly turning off most of the lights while leaving some on, all while dodging the janitor, Heemin tampers with the power generator, causing the hall lighting to explode and dropping the key. With the key in hand, Heemin makes his way to the rooftop. He steps into an open area where just across from him, he spots the water amulet. Alright, let me interrupt here again. I absolutely despise this area because one wrong move and you'll be sent back to where you start with half of your health. On paper, it looks simple. You just need to get across and get the amulet. Well, if it's that easy, then I wouldn't be here talking about it. There is a reason why you get the dowsing rod. There is an invisible enemy that can only be seen with the help of the dowsing rod. With the help of that rod, you can safely cross the place by looking at it whether they cross each other or not. If they cross each other, then you gotta find another way until the rod points to a straight direction. After many trials and error, Heemin finally managed to get across and obtain the water amulet. He then makes his way down to the second floor and put the amulet on the door to open it, but as soon as he did that...
네 이놈! 썩문하지 못해! 감히 여기가 어디라고! 살아서 나갈 생각은 마라!
This surprises Heemin, who turns around to see a deranged woman on the other side. This woman is Choi Eun-mi, and she has a connection to what happened at this school years ago. She starts shouting things that Heemin doesn't understand, which luckily draws the attention of the janitor, who came running towards the noise to stop her. But unexpectedly, the woman screams so loudly that it knocked both of them out. She then slowly approaches Heemin, and here we learn that she's actually trying to resurrect someone. Just as she is about to succeed, she discovers that Heemin had unknowingly been sabotaging her effort. Unwilling to let her years of work go to waste, she decides to kill him. A chase sequence happens with Heemin's life on the line. Running away like his life depends on it, Heemin makes his way to the top. He remembers reading a document about a deranged woman in the school, and he's confident that this is the one it describes. Reaching the top, Heemin frantically switches the single fuse to the alarm section and waits for the woman to approach. As soon as she gets close, Heemin pulls down the lever, triggering the alarm's blaring sound. The noise is so loud that it affects the woman, causing her to fall to her death. With the deranged woman now presumably dead, Heemin opens the door and makes his way to the auditorium. Heemin finally arrives at the auditorium. The first thing he notices is 2 notes on the wall. The first note is a warning that the pressure regulator has issues and the water supply was cut off due to plumbing work. It also mentioned that if there's a fire, an extra valve can be found in the storage room. The second note details the location of 3 different fire extinguishers. Heemin takes mental note of this and moves on. He finds the control panel not too far from where he enters and pulls the lever. This turns the light back on, also raising the curtains in the auditorium. As the curtain rises, Hee-min sees So-young lying unconscious on the stage with the fire amulet next to her. Hee-min immediately rushes to check if she's okay, but as soon as he opens the door,
여기서 다 같이 죽는 거야. 니들은 우리 딸을 위해 다 죽어줘야 돼.
a massive explosion happens out of nowhere and fire starts engulfing the entire place. Turns out the deranged woman from before appeared once again. This time she set the place on fire, intending to kill everyone in this place. Hee-min have a limited time before the pressure gauge reach its maximum threshold and explode. Without wasting any time, he quickly grabbed the fire extinguisher while avoiding the deranged woman from attacking him and quickly put out the fire in the storage room to get the valve handle. He then quickly ran into the green room and activate the sprinkler, stopping the fire from spreading and putting Choi Un-mi to rest for good. So-young then woke up and told Hee-min that her sister had been trapped in the school for the past 3 years. The school then violently shakes as the trapped souls appeared. So-young then told Hee-min to take the fire amulet and use it to release the soul trapped in the school. Hee-min did exactly that and the shaking stopped. Happy ending, right? Well, no. You see, after the shaking stopped, Seong-ah appeared and congratulated Hee-min for releasing the soul. Except the way she talks is weird. Well, as it turns out, Seong-ah is hiding a secret. A very dark secret.
그렇게 따라다니는데 이제 알아보고. 니네 언니가 못 지킨 약속 네가 대신해야지. 나영이가 항상 내 곁에 있어준 거였어. 근데 그때 걔는 오지 않았어. 천식으로 숨도 제대로 쉴 수 없어. 우리는 여기서 꼼짝도 못하고 너희들한테 붙어서 그 기운과 분노가 없으니까 그런 거 먹고 살지. 여긴 이제 내 세상. 넌 이제 나갈 수 없어.
As it turns out, Seong-ah was dead all along. She died while suffocating because she has asthma. The reason why So-young ignored her is not because she's being mean, but because she couldn't see her at all. She then reveals that she's able to exist all this time because she's been following everyone, feeding off their negative emotion. Now she's here to exact her revenge on So-young since she is Na-young's little sister. It seems like this is the end for Hee-min until he saw the amulet. Since the amulet was the reason why he could progress, maybe it could also help him. Without hesitation, Hee-min started collecting all of the amulets. It took him a while to collect all 5 of them since the place is a maze and he also needs to avoid her attack, but eventually he managed to collect all of the amulets. It then assembled itself and transport him to another place. Seong-ah then regained consciousness but falls down into the abyss. Hee-min, not wanting to end up like Seong-ah, pick up So-young's body and rush towards the light. The game ends with both of them waking up at the schoolyard with So-young hugging Hee-min, indicating that she may have fallen in love with him. So, Whiteday has a total of 8 endings. Each of the endings have names based on flower, and the first letter of their name spells the title of the game. Pretty clever if you think about it. Since we already got the White Chrysanthemum ending, I'll be going over the other one. So, starting with the second one, this ending is called Hyacinth. In this ending, Hee-min wakes up alone at the school. He gets up and looks around only to see a dark shadowy figure observing him from the window, and a soft demonic laugh can be heard that slowly grew louder. Scared by this, Hee-min runs away from the school. The next one is Ivy, and it's one of my favorite ending. You can only get this ending if you focus only on Ji-yeon. After stopping the fire in the auditorium, Ji-yeon woke up and was surprised to see the place burn down. She tried to stand up but couldn't because her ankle hurt. We then get an intimate moment between the two. Ji-yeon complimenting how good he is with the bandaging and tell him how nice he is. A bright light suddenly appears with Ji-yeon claiming that it's warm while leaning her head onto his shoulder. Next one is Tuberous and Ebony. Both of these are the same for some reason since both involve Seong-ah. In this ending, no matter how much of an asshole she is, we just kept picking the option that'll make her happy and then pick the option to not look after Ji-yeon at the end. After obtaining the fire amulet, she met up with Hee-min asking if Ji-yeon is okay. Both then head to the exit with Seong-ah telling Hee-min that Seong is a bad friend for ignoring her. Seong-ah then apologized for being mean towards him the entire time. The game ended with Seong banging on the window, desperately trying to get Hee-min's attention, but to no luck as she is now part of the school, becoming a wandering ghost with her sister Na-young, while Seong-ah managed to revive from the dead. Next one is the Dandelion ending. This ending is what most people will get the first time they finish the game. For me, I consider it to be a neutral ending since it plays out similar to the White Chrysanthemum ending but slightly different. In this ending, Hee-min woke up next to Seong in the schoolyard. He helped her up and instead of hugging together like in the true ending, both of them just looked at the school with Seong telling him that everything is over and that they're lucky to be alive. She then thanked him and leaves. And finally, we have the Althea ending. In this ending, instead of her complimenting Hee-min, she yells at him for being bad at it. Seong-ah then enters the hall and Ji-yeon excitedly went to see her. She explained that she sprained her ankle but Hee-min took care of it. Seong-ah simply replied with "I see," and as they were leaving, Hee-min looked at them only to see Seong-ah giving him the cold and bitter stare. Whiteday is one confusing game. To understand it, you must really pay attention to the document and read every note you find because the story itself wouldn't just hand it to you easily. So to understand Whiteday, we have to go back to the beginning where it started with one music teacher who's obsessed with the occult. Here's the event that happened before the main game. But before we get to the main part, I need to tell you a bit about Yeondu High School. As the game mentioned, the school is built on a location with terrible feng shui. Because of this, many students commit suicide at the school or find ways to end their lives, influenced by the bad energy, or so the school thought. You see, all the bad things that happen are actually caused by an entity known as the Master of the Labyrinth. This entity is responsible for spreading negative energy affecting everyone around it. Its influence grows so strong that the principal has to seal the place to protect the student. They do this by creating 5 amulets and scattering them throughout the school. These amulets trap the Master of the Labyrinth inside, but its influence remains strong and is still able to possess people. One of the victims who the Master was fond of was none other than Han Na-young herself. She is possessed by the Master until 1998 when something unexpected happened. Now that you know the history, it's time to talk about what happened. Somewhere in 1998, a teacher named Kim Ji-won, obsessed with the occult and well versed in geomancy, was tasked by the principal to fix one of the amulets because it had problem. He was also the one who originally installed them at the school. To keep people from wandering into the school at night and doing weird things, he got the janitor possessed so that he can kick out anyone who showed up after hours. He did this because the janitor was normally a good person by day and Ji-won figured he wouldn't be able to persuade anyone. So he made him a little bit more aggressive. This worked well until that fateful night. On March 15, 1998 at exactly 9:50 p.m., a fire broke out in the home economics room. Several students were injured and Kim Seong-ah, who was waiting for Na-young to come, suffered an asthma attack due to the fire. Her mother tried so hard to get in and rescue her, but the janitor prevented her from going in due to the wildfire. Now on paper, this might look like another accident that tragically ended the life of Kim Seong-ah, but actually, it was pre-planned. You see, Kim Ji-won purposely dropped the amulet that night, which resulted in a paranormal fire breaking out. And to cover that mistake, he made it look like a normal fire accident. That's why when we first met Seong-ah, she was so scared of the fire alarm. Makes sense because she died in that room. But why did Ji-won did this? Well, Ji-won was obsessed with the concept of resurrection and has plenty of theories about how it could be done. But the problem is, there's no one to test them. Until Choi Eun-mi comes along. She's the mother of the recently deceased Kim Seong-ah. After her daughter's death, Choi Eun-mi sought Ji-won's help to resurrect her. Ji-won agreed because the 3 things he needed were already in place. What are those 3 things? First, he needed someone to call the dead. In this case, that's Choi Eun-mi. Second, they needed a person who can break the seal using the amulet. And who's better doing that than Kim Ji-won himself? Third, they needed a sacrifice. They chose Na-young because she was Kim Seong-ah's best friend. But something unexpected happened. You see, neither of them knew that Na-young was already possessed by the Labyrinth Master, who really liked her and didn't want to lose her as a host. So on the night when they called her to the school with the intention of killing her, the Labyrinth Master forced her to hang herself, making it look like suicide. This completely threw the ritual off balance. Choi Eun-mi went mad due to the ritual's failure and developed a hatred for alarms and whistles, as they were the last sound she heard while being held back, unable to save her daughter. The master, on the other hand, had to possess Seong-ah's half-resurrected body, resulting in her semi-revival. I say semi because she wasn't technically alive and only people with a strong sixth sense could see her. During that time, Seong-ah retained most of her memory from before and during the incident, and she hated Na-young for not helping her when she needed her the most. So, over that 3 years, she became a wandering ghost with her hatred for Na-young growing stronger each day. She didn't know that the master had already possessed her and was feeding off her negative emotion to survive and grow stronger, waiting for another opportunity. And it finally paid off when Na-young's younger sister So-young appeared. When she realized So-young was Na-young's younger sister, the master wanted her, so the master devised a plan to repeat the ritual that failed years ago. The plan was to sacrifice So-young so the master could possess her body. She enlisted Kim Ji-won's help, but Ji-won wanted nothing to do with the ritual. He was done trying. The past 3 years had been hell for him and he developed a conscience. Overwhelmed with guilt for what he'd done, Ji-won committed suicide. This completely ruined the master's plan, but the master still wanted to go through with it. She knew So-young would come to the school at night looking for her sister, hoping to help her move on. So on the night before White Day, she impersonated So-young's voice and called Ji-yeon, telling her to meet her at the school. This explains why So-young was confused why Ji-yeon mentioned getting a call from her asking to come to the school. Anyway, the plan worked and Ji-yeon showed up. With all the important pieces in place, she's ready. The master has 2 of the 3 requirements needed to revive a person. Someone who can call the dead and a sacrifice, herself and So-young. He just needed Ji-yeon to break the seal. But there's a tiny bit of problem. Ji-yeon is completely useless. She can't break the seal at all. But all hope isn't lost because Lee Hee-min arrived at the perfect moment. You see, Seong-ah is technically a ghost, we've already established that. And for people to see her, they needed a strong sixth sense. So when Hee-min interacts with both of them, it surprises the master who realized Hee-min might be the one she's been looking for. And she's right, he's already managed to get the first amulet and break its seal. This gives the master an idea. Why not let him do all the work? She starts feeding him in false information, convincing him that breaking the seal is the only way out of this. But one person is trying to stop it. That person is Choi Eun-mi, Seong-ah's mother. She wanted to resurrect her daughter, but what Hee-min is doing is the opposite of what she wants. By breaking the seal, he's releasing the spirit, which worries her because Seong-ah's spirit will move on to the afterlife. That's why she tries so hard to stop him, even going so far as to kill him. A mother's love is truly strong. However, her efforts fail and the spirits are released. But a totally unexpected plot twist happened. The master now wants Hee-min because he is much more useful. So the master planned on possessing him instead. But the plan failed as well since Hee-min collected all the amulet and sealed the master once and for all. I want to dedicate this one section for the fun stuff that you can find in Whiteday. Now this only applies to the original game. As far as I know, the remake removed them completely. So the first one is the sanitary glove. This glove can be obtained from the mannequin in the science room. In that room, there's a mannequin and it will move if you make yourself dizzy. It'll then drop a white glove which you can use to poke the butt of the janitor. This is likely a reference to kancho, a silly prank in Japan and Korea where you clasp your hand together and make the shape of a finger gun to poke the unsuspecting butt while shouting kancho or 똥침. Another one is P's vending machine key. You can get this by giving kancho to the new janitor. The key is used on the out-of-order vending machine at the new building 4th floor. Opening it will reveal a short creature known as Sonnori gun. Make sure the flashlight is off and you'll get 10 lunchbox. Speaking of kancho, I found out that if you kancho the new janitor 5 times or more, it'll become harder to escape from him since he became invincible after that. The bat turns red and you'll die instantly when he hit you. And with that, we have reached the conclusion of this video. I have one more thing to say. I mentioned this in the post that Whiteday is the reason why my channel existed in the first place. You see, back in 2017, my little brother found this game online and asked me to play it with him. Needless to say, we were scared shitless. We didn't know what to do. We were running in circles, the janitor annoys the hell out of us, and the floating head made us scream so loud. It was during that time that I wanted to look up a guide on a certain puzzle. Unfortunately, NeoGAF and GameSpot didn't have any written walkthrough. So, left with no choice, I had to use YouTube. I remember typing in Whiteday Korean horror game walkthrough, and the first one that pops up was Jacksepticeye's playthrough. I think he had 8 million subscribers at that time, but the video of him playing Whiteday was all at that point. At first I was only watching some parts, skipping here and there, but over time I grow fond of hearing that intro and that commentary. It's like you're watching your friend playing a game. When he's scared, you also get scared. When he finds something bullshit, you also felt that. And to me, who never knew anything about YouTube, let alone a YouTuber, that was fascinating. And over time, as I watched him even more, I got this feeling, something in the back of my head that said, hey, I can do this too. And so began my journey to content creation. It was rough because I only had a small netbook with me to begin with, and editing took me a whole day to do. It was not fun, but the journey is amazing, and I have to say thanks to Jacksepticeye for that one video. And if this video somehow reached him, I just want to say thank you for being my inspiration. It means a lot to me. Anyway, I'll tell you more about it when we reach the milestone 100k? That's a big achievement. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and check out my previous video if you haven't yet. That's all. See you.